pretty excited. Got a delivery today. Ready for it? Brand new Apollo. RFZ X18. About to unbox this. One thing I do want to tell you is if you're a kid watching this and you want to steal your mom's credit card and order one to the house or your buddy's house, good luck. They call you and have to verify with your bank, and then you have to deal with a trucking company. So if you get one, make sure it's approved by your parents, you know what I'm saying? Anyhow, let me check this bad boy out.
What's up, guys? This is gonna be my first, oh yeah, Jesus H Christ, I don't want to go through mud. It'll be my first ride on this Apollo RFZ pit bike X18, I guess it is. It's got the 17-inch front wheel, 14-inch rear wheel. First let me start and talk about the assembly of this bike and how it shipped. It shipped to me in like 4 days. I got this one from Power Sports Max. I think maybe it was 5 days. Comes on a crate and a pallet. So no serious chance for crate damage, because I deal with that a lot at the bike shop. And when it's just a crate, you know, guys could drive forks through it and everything else, but this is a crate, a metal crate bolted on a pallet. So really, unless they drop it or something, the pallet kind of helps to, you know what I'm saying, like in shipping it shouldn't get damaged. I hope you have someone smart with you to help you assemble it. I mean, at least half mechanically inclined. I'm not the best mechanic, but that's what I do. And even some of that stuff was like, oh my lord. Wrong gear. They give you assembly directions for a completely different bike, like some older model Apollo. You're supposed to do with those. But a lot of it's self-explanatory. Like every other review you're going to watch is going to tell you, make sure every bolt is tight, not just the ones you assemble. Stuff's like wrist tight, you know. And I'm sure I forgot something, and I'm going to regret it here on this first ride. I'll come back, be missing bolts from somewhere, stuff. Like little simple things are kind of complicated without an assembly manual, like cable routing for your clutch, for your throttle, because the handlebars aren't bolted on, so they're just hanging there, and you got to figure out which way to set them up right. Like I'm not used to throttles like this on Jap bikes, like KTMs and stuff are like this. Yamahas aren't like that, so. Now what I did to mine, don't make this mistake. I forgot about these Honda carbs, okay? Hold on. I forgot the choke's kind of like backwards from what natural would tell you. So, of course it fires right up. and I can't get full throttle out of it, and it comes with this cheap ass carburetor with I can't take the bowl off of, and I'm like, it's just breaking up, carrying on. I have the carb off. I drew out the mixture screw. It's on the bottom, the one covered with a brass plug. So you take the brass plug out. Turned out, this one's out like 2 turns right now. It's basically the whole way freaking in, so that probably helped anyway. And as I'm looking at the carburetor and how the choke flips and what the choke does, you know, it blocks that butterfly closes and it lets it suck more fuel than air when it's cold. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm an idiot. So what I was doing is, since it was warm enough, it fired up without choke, and then I was actually flipping it to choke, trying to get it to run. Oh. So I was trying to run it on full choke and get it to run and ride, and it was like breaking up, like I said. So that was my fault. But that's something that anyone would stop and think for a second would have got, so. As you can see, man, basically stock, I'm 200 pound. Let's just go with that. I fluctuate between like 185 and 205, 210, depending on how much I'm drinking or whatever. And it's hauling me around. Suspension's nice and stiff, like not probably too stiff. You know, I already built a kicker for this bike, and I haven't, this is like my first ride besides around in circles in the yard, so I wanted to get a little more used to it before I start jumping it, but I think it'll handle it. So another reason I just spun basically the whole way up that hill. When I got the bike, it seemed like it had too much air in the tires. Like, that's a good thing, not a good thing, but that's what you would expect to be shipped. You know, just overinflate them to ship them to you. And by the way, here she is. I got the green one. And then it sat in the garage for like 2 days, and they were both like damn near flat today. So I just way overfilled them. And I think even in the book it tells like 30-some pound, which I guess if you're heavy, that's okay. So they're kind of stiff right now. I just wanted to put like 30 pound in them just to run it in case they do leak. I'm already like 5 miles away from my house. So, and as you can see, I didn't even peel the graphic covering off the fork guards yet, or this side, just make it easier to clean after today anyhow. As far as anything I modified, nothing yet. Besides, I don't like the crankcase breather. Since I was pissing with the carb, I just took this, kind of like plugged it off and let it sit there. That comes out of the air filter. And the crankcase breather, I just shot straight down, because my life and engine, that's all it did, was went from here down and dropped straight down. So as long as you don't go through water, too deep of water, you shouldn't blow any seals. It shouldn't, should be a PCV valve of some kind in here, like only lets it go out. I don't know this engine or if Hondas do that, but there almost on most shit there is one right here. So here I am up in the usual riding spot. Looks like I didn't lose any bolts in the first 5 miles, so I'm gonna keep rolling and talking about this bike. There's a lot of repetitive stuff I won't tell you, that like most of these 125s, it's 4-speed manual up, you know. Well, I just told you, so I was trying not to do, but most of those specs you can get off the website. And the way China bikes work, man, it might change. You might order a bike right now when you watch this, and I literally got this, I don't know, a week ago or something, and you might get a completely different bike just because it's like a fresh shipment of China bikes, you know. You never know, because it's an off-brand. I'm cruising though. This is 4th gear. Whoa. Would handle that pretty nice. Oh yeah, matter of fact. Oh, here they are. That's what I want to get used to, kind of like seeing what this bike feels like in the air. I'm not really a jumper in the first place, so well, that's all. Oh, I'm not jumping into water. You can forget that. Little puss jumps there, huh? old videos, doing like 2 videos of it. Man, I always wanted a pit bike since I was like in my teens. My buddy, obviously I had mini bikes when I was a kid, but I had a buddy when we were in high school, like end of high school, senior year, and so he bought a 50, and we're like, what the hell did you buy a 50 for? Well, not only did he buy a 50, he financed a brand new CRF. I think it was when they already were CRFs. 50. But he also got the high bars, big kid pegs, meaning, you know, like big wide, like how stuff kind of comes now, especially from China bikes and stuff. So it had the big wide pegs, long shifter, long brake pedal, so you actually fit shoes oversized, like, you know, foreign kids. And that bike, we had more fun, not more fun than our big bikes, but anytime we were at a party at his house, someone get on the 50, and, you know, it did perfect donuts on his finished concrete floor. You just lay your foot down and lay the bike, and it would just spin on itself, like spin right around your foot. So, and then we also, you know, he'd race little kids in the yard on their 50s, and not a bunch of us, that was the only adult in my area, like of my friends, that had them, if you want to call it a pit bike. You know, back then they were like fast 50s, and the DRZs and stuff, and the KLXs didn't really like catch on yet. You know, it was like, if you look at like kind of, well, from what I can tell anyway, the history of pit bikes, it like started with Z50s, you know, and Krusty 2, they're riding Z50s in that one section, and a lot of guys now are still 50 riders, you know. They got the Z Roast out in Jersey. I'd like to attend that this year. And, but you know, okay, so back to why I even got into pit bikes. Always wanted one since then, so just talking about it, and I work at Yamaha shop, and one of our good customers / former employees was in. He's like, I got one in the truck right now. Don't run this and that. He said $100. So it's an Apollo. Get on a website for Chinese pit bikes, Power Sports Max. I think there's like Power Sports Direct and all them. Any one of these that sell it, and then go to like the $500 70cc, like DB, whatever the heck they're called. You know, still got like basically full 50 chassis, 70 chassis. It was a 70 or a 90. I think it was a 70. I was told it didn't have spark. That's why he got it probably for free. I think it came for free when he bought another one. Sold it to me. I got a $100 pit bike now. It doesn't run. I'm like, well, I could mess with it and try to get spark and all this. I was like, I could buy a whole life in 125 for $300, and that came with a new carb and a wiring harness shipped to my house. I was like, you know, F that. I'm doing that. So I got the new life in. Drop it in this basically, you know, like XR50 or, you know, CRF50, CRF70 frame, TTR 50, like this little frame. And the only thing that kept it from being real dinky is it had bars maybe like, you know, like an ATV bend. Like, they weren't high, like big bars, but they weren't the stock, the bone stockers, okay? So, I get it together, everything. I mean, I had this bike. If I have a picture, I'll just throw it up right here. Got it looking like new again, you know, new plastics. Painted, this spray bombed the frame, but it cleaned it up. Painted the rims, you know. And I get it, long story short, and I get it together. Like, I can't even ride this thing. It's framed so small, and like, your feet were like 2 inches off the ground, you know, by the time the foot pegs and everything are bolted up. It was like dangerous, because it'd probably run as fast as this bike does. The only reason it wouldn't is because it had I think it's got 10-inch tires, and I rode it up and down my street, and it was like, you know, I can't jump. I kind of want to, you know, I'm not going to be doing like Axel Hodges 120-foot doubles on a pit bike ever, like, in my life. I barely could jump a dirt bike, but I do want something that's like this, like, well, I'll come back to this, but something I can actually at least hit a little BMX jump with or something, or, you know, come off a plywood ramp. So, it was like, I wasn't going to give it away, but I knew I wanted to get my money back. So a kid was like, hey, any chance you want to trade for an XR 250? And that's the one you see in some of my videos. I was like, heck yeah. I didn't run, that was a simple fix, but let's stick with pit bike. I finally made a ghetto riser for the bars that made it at least able for you to ride it without smashing your knees and it being completely dangerous. But it still just wasn't big enough. So I've gotten rid of some of my dual sports. You won't see them anymore. I'm basically like not over dual sport, but just I had so many roaches I was putting money into, you know. I can barely make it in here, let alone these hills. Anyway, I got rid of some of my roaches, had some extra cash. I wouldn't say extra, I should have saved it, but I was like, YOLO, I'm buying a half decent China bike. I'm not building no 110, having $2,000 in a mini bike, but I will. Squirrel down there. This is where I rode my buds. Still gotta edit that video. But I will buy a half, and what I would look to be half decent. Didn't want to go SSR. This has like a parallel frame. It looks a little more beefy. I don't know if it is. It could break easier for all I know. But so that's where I'm at with this. Down in Fraggle Rock. Second. Almost. That's crazy. I got so much air in this rear tire. Tell you what, if I could start the bike like this, falling over this hill, we'll just push it up over. Sketchy. So yep, I'm just out here trying to get a feel for this bike, and unless I do something else cool on it, basically gonna quit talking to you about it. Don't want to bore you. Probably already too long of an edit. Wheelies, you see, she does wheelies. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos on this bike and on my other scrap. Why you rain so hard on me, boy? Ah, god damn it.